We are calling this meeting together of the Richmond Rent Board at 5 p.m.
Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining the May 18th, 2022 regular meeting of the Richmond Rent Board. Before we begin, I would like to go over a few reminders. Members of the public were asked to submit requests to speak on any item on the agenda, including their name, phone number, an item for which they wish to make a public comment to Cynthia_Shaw at ci.richmond.ca.us by 3 p.m. today as described on the first page of the agenda. If you would like to make a comment on any item on the agenda, have not emailed me your request, you must do so in accordance with the first page of the agenda before the item is called. Requests received via email during the meeting and after the deadline to speak, comments will be accommodated as is reasonably possible and will be limited to a maximum of 1 to 2 minutes, depending on the number of commenters, as more fully described in the Rent Board meeting agenda procedures. This meeting is being conducted as a Zoom webinar. Members of the public are considered attendees and will be muted for the duration of the meeting unless called upon during public comment and unmuted by the webinar host. The city cannot guarantee that its network or the site will be uninterrupted. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and all statements made during this webinar will be on the public record. The first item on the agenda is pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United
States
of America
and to the
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one nation,
under
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and
with
justice.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the roll call. For the purpose of the recording, may I please get an audible roll call from Rent Board members and staff? Board Member Connor.
Present.
Board Member Johnson.
Present.
Board Member Vaisilas.
Present.
Vice Chair Mashek.
Present.
Chair Finley.
Present.
Executive Director Nicholas Traylor.
Present.
Deputy Director Fred Tran.
Here.
General Counsel Charles Oshanuga.
Here.
And Staff Attorney Palomar Sanchez.
Here.
For the record, all board members and staff are present. All right, the next item on the agenda is statement of conflict of interest. Are there any? Okay, hearing none, the next item on the agenda is agenda review. Do we have any changes? Are there any changes to the agenda?
Staff, do you have any changes?
Yes, there's a couple of minor changes to the minutes that we should make. The first was the numbering of the minutes on the compiled packet. There appears to essentially be an error in the numbering in the final 3 pages of the item. In the bottom of each page basically says a total of 7 pages. However, the pages only included up 1 through 5. So this was some sort of formatting error, and we will correct that. There is also a small misspelling or having the wrong misuse of a word on page 4, second paragraph, line 6. There was the word commutation, which I think must have been an autocorrect on the computer. The appropriate word should be communication, so that should be noted. And then finally, on the second page of 4, there was a motion that the board made to approve direct staff to come back with option B, which was to include funding for the new software database program, and that fringe benefits would be calculated at 78% for budgetary purposes to cover payroll costs of 12 employees. Just to be clear, a couple of things. There could be a comma right before at 78%. And that would, first of all, just clarify that those two things are separate. And also, just to be clear, we're bringing forth a proposed change to the board for this meeting, and it would be at 62%, and that's based on negotiations we've had with the city during the last month to make the number capped at that amount for now. So I just wanted to be clear that we are bringing a budget that's not going to be at 78%, it's going to be at 62%, but that will be explained in the staff report that Fred will be presenting. And that's it.
Let me clarify real quick. So the second correction is for option B to add the comma before the at.
Yes,
Correct?
just to make that clear, it clear, but also to be clear that while the board recommended or directed staff.
Nick, if I can just,
We
I'm sorry,
can't-
Yes,
if I can just interrupt, I think the
Sure.
discussion should just be limited to the agenda review.
okay. So, yes, so that said, the main change is going to be the comma
And then the commutation and
commutation.
Okay,
That's right.
and the page numbers. Got that. Okay, all right. Right. Okay. Can we take a, do we have a motion for correction?
Oh, actually, are there any other changes to the agenda by board members? Mr. Oceanuga, excuse me. I don't believe that we need a motion to correct these minor issues on the agenda. Is that correct?
No, you should probably, I mean, they're clerical errors, so you can correct them right now in meeting. You should probably do that. You can just say, you know, you move to accept the consent calendar with the corrections as identified by staff or something like that.
All righty. Thank you. In that case, might I have a motion from one of the board members? All right. Hearing no motion, I will make a motion that we accept the agenda as it's written with minor adjustments to the to F1, which outlines some changes to the minutes of the meeting of last month. Let it go at that.
Okay, no problem.
May I have a second?
I second.
Vice Chair Michelle. Okay, I'll take a vote. Board Member
Thank you.
Connor,
Yes.
Board Member Johnson,
Yes.
Board Member Vasilas,
Yes.
Vice Chair Michelle,
Yes.
and Chair Finley.
Yes.
Okay, agenda review, motion passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is public forum. Tonight, we have 2 speakers. Each speaker shall be allowed up to 2 minutes to address the board. When your name is called, please wait until the webinar host lets you know that you have been unmuted. For the record, please state your name, and your residence is optional. Please terminate your address to the board when your time expires. We ask that you keep your comments respectful and appropriate. You will be muted when your time expires. The first speaker is Cordell Hindler. Let me turn on this timer. Fred, would I be able to share the screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me, hold on. 1 second, I'm trying to get the timer together. Guys, this why is it not working? Okay, so 2 minutes. Here we go. All right, share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All righty. Participants. Cordell, I'm going to allow you to speak.
Can you hear
Can
me,
you-
Cynthia?
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead.
Yes. So good evening, Chair Finley, board members. My name is Cordell Handler and I'm a Richmond resident. So number 1 is I would like to invite the rent board to the El Cerrito Chamber of Commerce mixer tomorrow evening from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Berkeley Country Club. Tickets are only $40 a person, so please do it. And as far as like the rent board consent calendar, I approve F1 through F4. But as far as 5, let me reiterate my comments from the. So if you recall at the last meeting that I have looked at other cities and that does like hybrid functions. So I had a conversation with the city of Panola, and from what the clerk says, she said that boards and commissions are doing like some sort of like a hybrid function. So they have been meeting, in a hybrid function. So the public can come in, but they can also call in. So I'm asking that that this board consider like places on the future agenda, like to discuss, moving from to doing like some sort like do like a test run for a hybrid meeting. So because I think that hybrid meetings have been well attended from other cities. So I'm asking if the board to consider that and put this on the agenda for next time. So that's it.
Okay, the next speaker is Jimmy Smith. Jimmy, can you hear me? Jimmy?
My phone?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yes. Just,
Okay,
technical difficulty on Zoom. Okay.
okay, you may go ahead.
Good evening, Chairperson Finley and board. My name is Jimmy Smith, and I was at April's meeting also, and I'm regarding 420 Golden Gate in Point Richmond. This is, I have a property that we put in just about $500,000 of capital improvements, and we're seeking a fair return of investment regarding the package of MNOI package. There seems to be a question of how this package is to be handled in the administrative part of the rent board, and I need direction. We need direction on how to deal with it. Due to the pandemic, we had federal and state moratoriums come down that blocked any type of rent increases, which this package would fall under. And I'm seeking advice and guidance of how to have this package received and reviewed so we can move forward with a fair return on an investment. Thank you. Oh, also, I wonder if possible we could put it on the agenda tonight and or vote on it, or calendar it for the next meeting at your convenience. Thank you.
That was the last speaker. Okay, the next item on the agenda is to approve the consent calendar.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar with the changes that were mentioned?
I move that we approve the consent calendar with the aforementioned changes.
Thank you. And may we have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you. May we have a vote?
Yes, Board Member Connor,
Yes.
Board Member Johnson,
Yes.
Board Member Basilas,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mishak,
Yes.
and Chair Finley.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes to approve the consent calendar with the changes in agenda review. Next item on the agenda is item G1. Item G1 under study and action session is to receive an updated fiscal year 2022-23 rent program operating budget and fees, discuss and schedule a special meeting and provide direction to staff. There are no speakers on this item.
Are you able to see my full screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good evening, Chair Finley and members of the Rent Board. I'm Fred Tram, the Deputy Director of the Rent Program. The item before you is an update of the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget and rental housing fee. During the prior 3 regular rent board meetings, program staff presented various budget options to the board with ongoing updates. The February staff meeting, we were directed to return with a proposed option B of the budget and fee study for consideration. Option B included funding a new database system and a modest salary adjustment for staff. At the time, proposed rental housing fees were $228 for fully covered rental units and $129 for partially covered rental units. The finance department informed the program to expect a significant increase in cost pool allocations and workers' compensation insurance. A new methodology had been adopted by the city for fiscal year 2022-2023. Rent program staff has been engaged in discussions with the city manager's office, city attorney, finance, and human resource department to address the concerns related to the new methodology aligning with Government Code 50076 for the cost pool charges and fringe benefits. Due to this concern, the city originally recommended that a placeholder be used for the cost pool for the general liability insurance. Rent program staff applied an escalating factor of 3.2% for an inflationary rate as of June 2021 to be consistent with the reports provided by the Human Resource Department. The methodology used for the cost pool allocation for general liability insurance remains a concern, and the support for this is still outstanding. According to the Risk Management Department and the Finance Department, a more finalized amount and allocation will be provided in late May. The rent program staff first received inputted amounts for the fringe benefits line items from the city in early April. It was noted that the methodology for the budgeted amounts had increased from 62% to 78% based on total salaries and wages. Fringe benefits budgeted increased by $259,000 or 34.8%. Rental housing fees for the fully covered units would be billed at $264 and $149 for partially covered units. Sorry, $264 for fully covered units. The fringe benefits costs were later revised by the Finance Department during the first week of May. The prior total was approximately $1 million in April, which represented 78% of total salaries. The decrease later was approximately to $950,000, which represents 73% of total salaries. Fringe benefits at 62% of total salaries is consistent with the prior 3 fiscal years. Staff determined that methodology for the workers' compensation allocation produced by the risk management is the primary line item that is impacting the increase in fringe benefits. The new methodology included operating costs that were also included in the cost pool allocation for admin charges. Actuarial reports are needed for further research. Additionally, data validation and comparisons to past methodology is required to assure this new methodology aligns with Government Code 50076. The Finance Department stated that final charges will not be provided to the rent program for this until the end of May. Rent program was informed that the cost pool for admin charges would increase significantly in February. The increase from prior year was 702%, an increase from approximately $52,000 to $420,000. Rent program staff reviewed the NBS cost allocation plan provided by the finance department to calculate the admin charges. Staff had sent a list of questions to the finance department and consultants. The source cost data for the cost report had been revised and the new report was issued to the rent program in May, dated April 25, 2022. The consultants did clarify some of the source cost data set questions and informed the program that the allocation would be decreased for non-departmental charges. The other assumptions remain in question and the amounts charged may be still overstated. For instance, the 17 FTEs that were originally provided had included 5 interns for the allocation factor. Further verification and clarification is needed for charges such as equipment services, fleet services, city manager's office, city attorneys, and human resources. Staff met with city manager and the council member in early May to discuss the substantial increase in admin charges and the impact the rent program has with the rental community. The budget administrator stated that the current amount provided is a draft and the allocation has not been finalized. The actual charge applied to the program have yet to be determined and will not be available until late May. The methodology used by the consultants must also align with Government Code 50076. During the recent May meeting with the city manager and council member, it was determined that the rent program would require the following 2 requests to stabilize the longevity and viability of the program. First, to cap the fringe benefits allocation to 62% of total salaries. The difference would be subsidized by the city's general fund. The justification for this request is that the workers' compensation allocation methodology must further be analyzed by a hired consultant for accuracy and assurance that the aligns to Government Code 50076. Program staff has developed the proposed budget with the 62% methodology consistent to prior fiscal year's budget. Second, the city and rent program will jointly hire a consultant to recommend the methodology to align Government Code 50076 to the admin charges and general liability insurance. The consultants will review cost allocations, establish next year's cost pool. Program staff has developed the budget without admin charges and general liability insurance. Rent program staff has prepared the proposed budget that contains a reclassification for an assistant administrative analyst to senior administrative analyst. Increase current staff salaries for automatic step increases and cost of living. $100,000 for a new database, $20,000 for consultants to assist with the review of the methodology of the cost pool and fringe benefits to align with Government Code 50076. Fringe benefits being capped at 62% of total salaries. No charges for cost pool allocation for admin charges and general liability insurance. Fees for fully covered units will be billed at $226 per unit and $127 for partially covered units. Given the circumstances and timing with the fiscal year ending soon, the executive director shall submit to the board the proposed budget for review. The board may make revisions as may deemed advisable and determine the time for the holding of a public hearing with published notice no less than 10 days of the hearing's inspection. A special meeting will need to be scheduled to approve the proposed budget and fee study. Staff will seek approval of fees on the June 7th regular council meeting. The recommended action for this evening is to receive an update of the fiscal year 2022-2023 rent program operating budget and fees, discuss the schedule of a special meeting, and provide direction to staff on the proposed budget. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Mr. Tran, are you taking questions at this time?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Chair, I'll watch and see if anyone has their hands up, okay?
thank you. And again, I don't have any pictures, so I can't see the hands, Cynthia. So if you'll take over that function and let me know
Will
what to do.
Will
Thank
do.
you. May I ask a question in the interim?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Tran, I'm looking at the recommended action. And if I'm understanding this correctly, are you asking us to not to adopt anything, but to say that we're going to have a special meeting and that we will, and either now or at that meeting, provide direction to staff on a proposed budget?
Correct. What we're going to do is we're going to develop the proposed budget, have all the line items completed,
Mhm.
and a special meeting needs to be scheduled. And at that scheduled meeting, the proposed budget will be available for review. The posting, actually, once we do know that we can move forward with the meeting, we're going to do that posting to inform the public of the date of that meeting.
Okay. A follow-up question then. Would our meeting be before the city council meets on June 7th or after the city council meets?
Before.
Before,
Correct.
okay,
And the meeting for the June 7th regular council meeting, that's going to be to approve the fees if the proposed budget is approved
okay.
or adopted.
Now, are we still looking at tentative dates for our special meeting to occur on Tuesday, May 31st, or perhaps Wednesday, June 1st? Is that still in play?
Correct. And that's what we need to discuss is the availability of all the board members for either May 31st or June 1st.
Okay. And do you wish to ask the board members during this meeting about their availability, or has that been done just looking forward and trying to make this flow as easily as possible?
That's actually, sorry, that is what I'm asking is if board members are available either May 31 or June 1st.
Okay, and am I correct in assuming that would be a meeting that would start at 5 in the evening, just like any other one of our meetings?
Correct. And,
Okay.
And the May 30th is a holiday. That's the other caveat to the scheduling.
Okay. Do you want to poll the people, or do you want Cynthia to poll the people, or has Cynthia polled the people?
No, I haven't. That's what we're doing tonight, is asking who's available. So
Okay.
if I can start it, I can go each board member.
All right, well, why don't we do that? Because we would incorporate that into any kind of a motion, would we not? The date of the special meeting?
Correct.
Okay. Cynthia, if you'll go ahead and take over that duty.
Okay. Board Member Connor, are you available what day? May 31st or June 1st?
Only the 31st.
Okay. Got it. Okay, Board Member Johnson, are you available on the 31st or June 1st?
On May 31st?
Okay. Board Member Vasilis, are you available on the 31st or June 1st?
Either day works.
Okay, both. Vice Chair Mishek,
Both work for me.
both work for you too. And Chair Finley.
I'm available on either of those days.
Okay,
So that sounded to me as if the date was going to be then Tuesday, May 31st. Is that correct?
that's what it sounds like.
Okay, then that is the date that we will incorporate into whatever kind of motion that we make.
Okay.
All righty. Mr. Tran, I'm going to turn this back over to you.
I'd like to propose to schedule a special meeting on May 31st at 5 p.m. to have the proposed budget presented to the board.
Okay. Before we jump to an automatic place where we start doing motions, I'd like to get any comments from board members or the public that they wish to make. Cynthia, would you be good enough to ask the board members if anyone would like to make a comment?
I mean, sure, we have no public,
Or pose a question.
sure, we have no public speakers on this item.
Thank you.
But if any board members would like to make a comment, you may do so. Just raise your hand. I don't see anyone.
Okay. I would like to make a comment, but it will be a very short one. Is first of all, how much I appreciate, and I know the other board members appreciate, the work that staff has put into trying to find an avenue to create a better situation for the rent board and the constituency of the rent board. I can imagine the hours and the Sturm und Drang that goes into trying to negotiate with the city in these kinds of matters, but it seems like you've made enormous strides. And I just want to say thank you to all of you, Mr. Traylor, Mr. Tran, and certainly Mr. Oceanuga and Cynthia. I suspect that you belong in that group as well. So our thanks to all of you for the job is not completed, but so far it has been a job that has been very, very well done. Thank you.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Anybody else? Would someone please make a motion?
Just to be clear, we want to make sure that the motion includes the updated option B with 62% fringe benefits and the other recommendations.
Okay.
This is the budget that we would be bringing back to the board on the 31st, potential adoption.
If I may, Chair, so you don't have to make a motion on the scheduling unless you really want to, but that doesn't require a motion. May 31st, we got that date. But can you go back to the recommended action? Yeah, I think you can include it in your motion if you like, but you can, if you don't want to, you don't have to, but providing direction to staff is what the
Is sufficient?
Yeah, so whatever direction you like us to provide, come back with this
Okay.
option B or however you want to phrase it.
All right, then I'm going to make the recommended action that on May 31st, we have a special meeting of the Richmond Rent Board, and that at that meeting, we receive an updated fiscal year 2022-2023 rent program operating budget and fees that incorporate a cap for fringe benefits of 62%. And that at that meeting, we provide direction to staff on the creation of an actual budget. Is that correct? Is that said properly, Charles?
I think the only part would, the only part I would amend on your motion is that I believe staff is going to come back May 31st with the actual budget for adoption
Okay. All right.
and fees.
All right. In that case, I will accept the amendment to read that my motion read that we receive an updated fiscal year 2022, 2023 rent program operating budget and fees. And discuss, it will no longer be a proposed budget. It will be an actual budget.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. We've received the information from Mr. Tran. Do we need a motion at all?
No,
Okay,
No, I'm just making a recommended action because we don't need a motion.
so you
but
won't
I'm-
need, if there's no motion, you don't need a second either,
I'm sorry,
right?
my apologies.
I'm,
Yes,
I'm just trying to be sure, you know, these rules, I'm still working on them. So I just want to be sure that we're following the proper procedure just in case. But I
Yes.
thought with this, we've received the updated information from Mr. Tran, and we've already agreed on a special meeting date. I don't know
Correct.
unless we have comments for staff on direction to provide them on what we expect to see on May 31st. I don't know that there's any other action we need to take, but please correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're absolutely correct.
Okay, so for the record, should I say that the motion is canceled then, or how we do this, Charles?
It was
No, you-
simply it was the
wasn't a-
chair
it
simply
wasn't a-
making a recommended action.
Okay,
No motion. It is not a motion. I've rescinded that.
okay. Thank you. Okay,
All right. In that case, can we go to the next agenda item, please?
yes, the next agenda item is item H under reports of officers.
We have none.
No, I'm sorry, I was muted.
Oh,
Only report is that I'd like to just inform the public and the board of our next workshop, which is going to be May 27th. This is a workshop titled How to Assert Your Rights as a Tenant. And that will be, again, May 27th. It should be posted by 4 o'clock p.m. That is it.
thank you very much. In that case, the time is 5:38 and this meeting is adjourned.
thank you.
All right, see you guys on the 31st.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.